Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.
Hello and welcome everyone. Let's go ahead and open up that Zoom room and let everyone in. My name is Ruth Ellen Sanchez and Rebecca Dukes is supposed to host today. So hopefully she'll be joining us. She was having technical difficulties. This program is sponsored by dailywithdoc.com. And if somebody referred you to this program, please make sure to get back with that program. And this program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physicians. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual, and results may vary and may not be typical. And we do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options. And today we have one of my favorite people on, Dr. Dirt, Richard Renton, one of the founding fathers of Youngevity. So I am going to add him to the screen. And hello, Richard. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. And how are you doing besides wanting to take a shoe to your computer?
A shoe to Rebecca's computer. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day. It's not too hot. It's not too humid. It's good.
You know, I would think that they would watch the West Coast more for the weather because it's an indicator for the East Coast down the road. So I can tell you right now at noon, it's 73 degrees in the Northwest. which means next week you guys should have a really nice week versus all the rain and the excessive heat and all that type of situation.
Yes, it has been crazy. And yeah, I want to kill my computer screen. Do you see it glitching on my camera? Anyway, so Richard, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, we're over 25 years old, and when we first started this, Dr. Wallach and Steve Wallach and Michelle Wallach and myself and a wonderful lady called Johnny Taylor, which is Michelle's sister, were working another multi-level marketing company and doing fairly well. Doc was one of his biggest challenges was that the distributors, it was expensive to put the meetings on. And with multi-level marketing paying you 30 to 45 days afterwards, restricted the ability for certain distributors to make money. And that company wouldn't do a couple products that Doc really loved. And Dead Doctors Don't Lie, well, as a cassette tape, was already out there, and there was other companies kind of taking his ideas and all these types of things. And so we were all having dinner, and at that time I was married to Roxanne before she passed away, and he was venting his frustration, and he was saying, if we could make these things, there's got to be a way we can kill two birds with one stone. And Roxanne just says, well, Richard knows how to do that stuff. He went to college to do that kind of stuff, even though it's stronger in nutrition. And he just kind of looked at me and he goes, you know how to do this? And I go, well, yeah, I don't have manufacturing facilities, but I know where they are and I know where to find the raw ingredients. And so that was the beginning of gelatin. That was the beginning of a liquid calcium. It was in a soft gel at that time, and as well as a couple other products. Now, the pluses to this is that the distributor and Steve and I started a company, and I think we spent $1,000, and we thought we were crazy to do it at that time. And we basically made gelatin in capsules that you can eat, very much like glucogel is now without the glucosamine. And we made it available for the people that were doing the shows, and we were selling it for one price, saying you should sell it for twice that much, and that would help pay for the room charges along with Doc's books. And the idea went off really well, and everyone started to do really well. And the amount of lectures that Doc was doing was actually doubled within a year. And so the message was getting out there. So he was ecstatic about it. We were doing well. Everyone was excited. There's some key distributors that went with us when we became Youngevity. That was great. At that point, Doc downline was about 80% of this company, and he was getting an extremely large commission check. Like some months was, close to $1 million.
Wow.
And the company, the owners of the company, and Doc was a third, but he was kind of being pushed out and he didn't know about it, decided that they were going to figure out a way to terminate him so that they wouldn't have to pay him those commissions, thinking that everyone would just stay and buy the products. And so they terminated him for making too many medical claims. They terminated Steve and Michelle Wallach and myself and Johnny for developing and selling a competitive product at that company's meetings. There were actually Doc's meetings, but that company's meeting. So we're all terminated. And this is, I want to say, in late December or the first week in January. Doc, says, well, we'll deal with them legally down the road, but what we need to do is start a company and get the products out there and start doing it. At that point, Steve started to work on the multi-level marketing. Doc insisted in having the company in San Diego. So Michelle went down to San Diego to get office staff, get the warehouse or storage area prepared to receive the product. Steve worked on the multi-level marketing plan, and my job was to come out with the initial 10, 12 products. of which plant-derived minerals was one, Ultimate Classic was two, EFAs was three, a calcium product was four, a selenium product was five, and there's a few other, I'm losing it, but there's about 12. I know Rebound was not Rebound, Rainforest was extremely early, as well as Cherry Mints as well. And I was to find the vendors and set up manufacturing so that we can get the products going. Now, here's the strange thing, or at least a strange thing to me. Doc continued lecturing. He didn't stop. And he would tell the people, we're no longer representing this company because they let us go. And my son and Richard are going to come out with the products. I don't know when. I'm sure it's just going to be a few months. So just fill out your order sheet and we'll send you the products as soon as we can get them to you. Well, we weren't even designing them yet, when he was giving that lecture. We had an idea, but it was still a ways away. And so kind of put a little bit of pressure on Steve, Michelle, and myself. But it came through, and it came through that in April of that year, we were shipping out products. So that we literally now, if anyone started a company, they'll tell you that this was incredibly fast, especially considering multi-level marketing, because you had to print a whole bunch of documents. You had to get the staff, you had to get the multi-level program, you have to get the products, and whatnot. And the products, even at that point, was traveling 1,000 from 50 miles to 1,000 miles away from San Diego, 2,000 miles away from San Diego. And so the logistics and all those types of scenarios, setting up accounts with UPS and the mail to get it shipped to individuals and all this. So you can imagine all this being done. So when I started to work on Ultimate Classic, and I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do, I knew what nutritional products I wanted and all that kind of stuff. And it really has not changed hardly at all. Doc says, well, come down here because I want you to explain it to a couple different people and me and see if there's any changes that we need to make. And I go, sure. So I hopped on a plane with all my information and went down there. And at that point, I didn't realize that was going to be the Youngevity Scientific Board that I was going to sit in front of, including Dr. Gerhard Schrauser, including Dr. Dubois, including Milan, who really didn't say anything, bless her heart, and Dr. Wallach. And I laid out the plant-derived minerals and where we were going to get them and all that kind of stuff. And that was a no-brainer because previous to being let go of the company, the previous company, they had once bought from this mine, but they switched because they found it cheaper buying it from the Clark people, but the product wasn't nearly as good. So I went down to the original people that had the mine and I go, we would like to come back to you, but we're not the old company. We're a new company. And I will pay you for the products the second we pick them up. So we're not asking for 30 days or anything like that. You don't even have to load the truck if you don't have my check-in time. And so they said okay to that. So we were able to get the original plant-derived minerals that we've always used and still use to this day from the same people. They do give us terms now. But that's how that happened. Then I sat down in front of Classic and I put up a diagram very much like, let's see if I can do this. Share. Very much like this, if I can blow it up, see what I can do here. Wrong way. Yeah, no, that was the right way. As far as how many vitamins and minerals and all that in there. And at that time, Doc was actually talking about 90 essential nutrients. And so I knew that this product had to have 88 out of the 90. The two exceptions were EFAs, because we were going to put EFAs in a soft gel. So this product was set up this way. But when I sat down and talked to them, I said, this has got such a cake mix of different ingredients, is well over 100, that making it taste good is going to be challenging. At that time, I was using orange extract, peach extract, and pineapple, extract. And I didn't use much because I didn't want the sugar to be a high amount. And so I presented it to him, and Doc says, you don't understand, Richard. people are interested in nutrition and they won't care what it tastes like as long as it works. Those, I guarantee you that's almost an exact quote. I might have one word off. And I go, oh, okay. So I wasn't worried about it. So we rolled it out. Well, in all fairness to Doc, I love him dearly, but he's wrong. People care about flavoring.
Yes, they
And
do.
hi, Rebecca. And there was a lot of pushback on how it tasted. Now, taste is a learned response. If you put a newborn on classic, whether it's just a couple drops in their milk or formula or something like that, and they start taking it from the very beginning, they won't think it tastes bad. And if you doubt me, Steve and Michelle still drink the liquids. And Michelle gave Jonathan, their oldest, who is now works for Disney, and he's well along in his years. He didn't think it tastes funny at all, and neither did the other kids, Zach and whatnot. And so it's kind of was interesting, but people pushed back. And so after being about 6 months into it, they asked me to come up with something that tastes a little bit better. And that's how Tangy Tangerine came about. And so the goal was still to have the majority of the nutrients so that a customer would only have to buy a couple products and they can get all 90 essential nutrients. And then Steve made the statement that we want to create packs that have 100 BV in them so that a person can buy a pack and qualify and earn commissions. Yeah, Steve is a big proponent of KISS, keep it simple. I won't use the last word, but keep it simple. And he wanted to create these scenarios. And so we came out with the Pig Pack and the Pig Pack Plus, and there's the bigger packs, there was the horse stud pack. There was all sorts of packs out there that I can remember. But the idea of the packs was to make it simple for someone to order and qualify for commission. The company did very, very well because the 80% of the customers that were in the old company, I would say better than half converted over to, then it was called American Longevity, converted over to because of Doc. And I would say it was probably greater than 50%, to the point where the leaders brought over a large amount of their downline, and everything stayed in their position. So just imagine, no, don't imagine Youngevity folding, but just imagine the scenario if you were able to take your entire downline and go over to this new company, and the commission plan was a little bit better. We had the funding that we were able to pay towards the end with the other company. They were paying us in product, not in money, because they didn't have it. They didn't spend correctly and all those types of things. So what I kind of want to say is that I don't know of Steve ever missing a commission check. We very seldom run out of product. Sometimes we cancel products due to lack of sales, but the company as a whole has done a very, very good job at keeping products in stock and available for the clientele. Steve is always trying to come up with new ideas on how to make better products better to stay ahead of the market. You got to remember, back 25 years ago, liquid nutrition was literally a brand new thing. And we were talking about the absorption levels and all that. Common day. I was on my Facebook looking around, and I saw a liquid joint product. I saw a liquid multivitamin, and they're all over the place. And it's people just basically knocking off our formulas. And if you always hear people saying they have patented products. A nutritional product, unless there's an ingredient in there that's patent, and we'll go into that a little bit, really can't patent a product. Because vitamin C is vitamin C. You can't tell an orange you can't do vitamin C. I have a patent on it. And so the only way that a patent really gets involved is if you design a nutritional product or a nutrient, and it's in a unique way that's never been done before, and you patent the process, not the ingredient. And so you see some of those out. We use some patented products in ours, but we still, in the majority of the times, I was going to bring over the screen again, majority of the time, you'll see us that we actually list exactly how much of this vitamin, that mineral, this amino acid is in the product. A lot of companies now, to hide their formulas, put proprietary properties in it, and they put a lump sum. And we've always felt that it's important to give our distributors all the information. They know what's going on. And a lot of our products that are complex and that are liquid especially have to have a preservative in it, because it's kind of like milk. They'll go bad in a short period of time, especially if you get heated and whatnot. And nowadays they're giving us milk that lasts 3 months, and I can't tell you what they're doing to it to make it last 3 months, but milk that won't spoil in 3 months. But we had to put it in. And so we, as the scientific board, decided to develop a blend of 3 preservatives using the least amount of each, so that we can create a 1 year or 16-month shelf life. And we went with potassium sorbate, sodium benzenate, and citric acid. And one specializes in killing bacteria. One specializes in keeping the pH down low. Actually, 2 of them do. And they're all in so little amounts that the government has a situation that they call GRAS, generally accepted as safe. And they're all well below those guidelines, but people get nervous. The most nervous thing that people get is that sodium benzenate, when you add vitamin C, and our product has lots of vitamin C in it, and is a carbonated beverage, can convert and turn into benzene. And if you look up benzene, it's a carcinogenic. And so the internet went wild on sodium benzenate for a while, because they weren't saying, oh, by the way, it has to have vitamin C. By the way, it has to be carbonated. Now, Coca-Cola had a problem because they have vitamin C and they're carbonated, and they were using sodium benzenate for their preservative. And it was, when it got hot and shipped, it did convert into benzene. And so they had to change their habits. But ours isn't carbonated, therefore it can't, scientifically, it can't convert. So it's considered a great product. The other thing, I mean, I'm going to bring this back up because I think this is an interesting thing that people don't realize. Click, click. Hopefully that popped up. So the government in this, from this dark line up, states exactly what order it has to be in. In other words, you would think that we would have calcium at 600 milligrams way up here, greater than vitamin A, which is 700 micrograms, highest to smallest. But no, they dictate exactly what order they want you in. And it's the vitamin family all the way through there. And then it goes into the major minerals, and they're all the way down to there. And they dictate what order you put it in. The other thing that they dictated, and they started this about 15 years ago, is you have to put the form of the vitamin in there. And an example that I can get is methylcobalamin and B12. And there's cyancobalamin and there's methylcobalamin. So there's 2 different forms. So you had to put there down here. The other thing is down in the minerals, when it says magnesium 300 milligrams, there's 300 milligrams of magnesium, not magnesium citrate, because the citrate in magnesium citrate is 80%. Only 20% is magnesium. And so the total amount of magnesium citrate that's in this product is well over 1,200. But the government, and what company was doing is they're saying, oh, we have 1,200 milligrams of magnesium citrate. Youngevity only has 300. Well, they were kind of false representation that. And so they came out and said that on the mineral side, you have to put how many milligrams of the actual element that you're promoting, whether it's potassium, chromium. The other thing is up here, they used to do IUs. How many remember IUs, international units? And they changed that to be more like the European format. And we went from that actually to a measurement. To me, that was a slight step back, because depending on which form of the beta carotene, for example, this number and this percentage will vary depending on how it works and what type you use. But that being said, they're trying to make it where you as a consumer can look at a bottle and compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges, or in our case with ORAC, antioxidant capacity, you're able to compare apples to oranges. We started to run out of room on the label, so we didn't break down the amino acids. I can tell you that they're almost all the same. So if you just took the series of amino acids divided by about 125, you're pretty close to being spot on for every amino acid in the list, and then so on and so forth all the way down. Now, the part that I was going to show you is down here, and other ingredients is the highest amount to the smallest amount by weight. And so purified water is the highest amount with the plant-derived minerals. And then it goes down and it goes down. And then when you start to get down to some of the preservatives, sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate, they're the smallest things on there, because in the bottle, there's less than 10 milligrams in the whole bottle. And so, and if a company does their label according to the guidelines, every company should be doing this. Now, the one other thing, I'm going to mini class lessons. Nutritional products, they're called supplement fact panels, and they have a guideline. Food products are called nutritional fact panels. They're under a totally separate guideline, which to me makes no sense whatsoever. But I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say I put MSG in a nutritional product. In other ingredients, I have to put monosodium glutamate and state how much. In food, I can call it a natural flavoring. So all the time people call us up and they say, you say there's natural flavoring in your product, you have monosodium glutamate in it. And I go, no, it's a supplement fact panel, not a nutritional fact panel. And the average consumer, and I don't blame them, don't know the difference. If I showed you the guidelines of what the food label laws are, you would laugh. I mean, it's a medium town's telephone book. I mean, truly, well, here, I'll disappear for 1 second. You can still hear me, so I can still talk at you.
Yes, we can.
This is the book. Now, how can I hold it where? Now there is, in fact. That's the thickness. So, in looking really quick, and these are all laws and guidelines and examples. And it is approximately, well, they have all these indexes. They do it by chapter, so I can't tell you how many pages it is. But I would say roughly 400 to 500. And that's the guideline that you're supposed to use. And I'm amazed on how many companies, oh, there we go. I just have to hold it close to my face. I have to do, what's that TV show where the guy had his nose above the fence? It's the guidelines that we have to go about on how to do it. Now, this does have the supplement fact panel and a nutritional fact panel in it, but I don't expect this. Oh, and I think this book's $400 now. And so it's not the most common thing. The government, the FDA, is controlled by pharmaceuticals, which is the biggest problem, but it's trying to do the right thing. Their pace at doing it is incredible. And I think over the next 4 years, things may change, but I'll give you an example of what I mean by incredibly weird timing. There was food coloring and whatnot that was allowed in nutritional supplements. They were banned, and we had to have them removed from all new manufacturing within 90 days. Now, that wasn't that hard. I'll just tell you, it's not that hard. You just go to a natural flavoring or a natural coloring. We use beet juice in a lot of things because it turns our product red, or it helps turn it into at least an orange red. When they said the same thing about food, and I could be wrong here, but I think they're giving the food companies 2 years to figure it out. Well, we had 90 days. And I don't understand why we can't do it in 90 days in food. I mean, you're just finding something that has flavor. You know, you can put vanilla in it and, you know, it's pretty clear, but you don't need a flavoring, you know. But I guess some of the food items they put in when they mix it isn't a pretty color. And so they have to use a lot of coloring to make it look pretty. So that's kind of interesting. They started to say to nutritional companies, you can't say you have vitamin C in your product, and that's going to prevent colds. That's called a health claim. And unless you provide reasonable science, and that's a very loose term, isn't it? Reasonable amount of science to us, and we approve it and say it, you too. Now, this is a board that's basically either X or hope to be pharmaceutical executives in the near future. So providing reasonable science means double blind studies, but they won't accept if I'm going to really do a study on a nutritional product, I want it to be a standalone product. I would never use Ultimate Classic because they'll reject it right off the bat because I have insufficient science that vitamin C was the thing that helped prevent certain colds. So you almost have to do standalone, which is kind of insane. Now, Dr. Wallach has actually gotten 3 health claims passed through. We did it first in the first 10 or so years. Certain things like selenium will help prevent certain cancers. And the reason why he was able to get that one through fairly easily is he did the majority of the research when he was in China. And he had a test population that had an extremely high level in certain cancers. And he gave them all 250 micrograms of selenium. And the region in China, almost disappeared within a year. So he had all that published research already done. And if you look up the public research on selenium and cancer, you're going to see his name all over the place. Same thing with essential fatty acids. They're good for your cardiovascular disease, helps prevent certain cardiovascular diseases. And the glucosamine sulfate is good for joints. And it's just health claims like that are hard to get them to say yes to, but once you get in. The negative of it is that if I say that selenium will help prevent certain cancers, it isn't Youngevity selenium, it's anybody's selenium. And so Youngevity did all the work to get this health claim passed through, and everybody got to use it. Now, if you're a food company, the rules kind of change a little bit. And I'll give you an example. We tried to get a health claim passed that lutein is healthy for your eyes and other key organs. Prevented all the science. Hunt's ketchup joined in on our health claim because the majority of lutein is derived from tomatoes. Hunt had a relative that was running for vice president. They accepted that tomatoes will help prevent certain cancer, but we couldn't prove enough to them that it was the lutein in the tomatoes. So they gave it okay to Hunt's and their ketchup, but they said no to us and our nutritional product. And on and so forth. And there's been times that they really didn't care about nutritional products at all. I went back when they were trying to push science through that said that we had to do more expensive studies because the the pharmaceuticals are saying it's not fair. They're producing products that is replacing ours, and we have to do all this double-blind taste study. And I actually went back and said, there's lots of studies out there on this stuff. You can go on PubMed.com, and I could bring hundreds. And I'm saying this to the board of at the FDA. And one of the members was actually taking a nap. He was asleep. And the one thing I'm kind of famous for, because I've been asked not to come back, is I took my shoe and pounded it on the table. And it startled him. And he goes, I go, why? All these people came here to give testimony and you're not even really paying attention. I don't think that's fair. And he says, I'm just required to be here. I'm not required to pay attention. So we've had challenges over the years, and it's been fun. But Youngevity has always been a company out there that we want to develop a product that will make a difference in people's lives. We wanted to make a product that we're all proud of, and that we didn't cut corners to make it cheap. That we try to find science that will support our claims of quality. We require third-party testing on everything that's nutrition. Some of the food products we have to stage in as we go. And the other thing that Steve did, and I commend him for it, is that with the exception of third-party testing, and if we thought there was an actual flaw in the product, when we acquired a company and they joined us, we didn't change the formulas because those distributors were used to their products. And we weren't going to force them to use our products, so they would just go away. And we've gotten a lot of great new products over the years with these companies. Fucoitin, for example, in the Radical Z. The original Youngevity company that we acquired had precursors to HGH, which is amino acids. They have a great women's hormonal balance product. And then Stay Natural with all their herbal products, and Stan and Laura Dennison and the great jobs that they've done. And we really haven't changed the formulas. And I commend them on that because people are used to it and they're used to the success. Now, we will within a year usually require the facility that manufactures either has to do third-party testing or will change manufacturers. That's kind of a must. But we give them fair warning and we'll help them all the help that they need to get the certifications because they're a little rough. Everyone's pretty much required to get CGMP, which is good manufacturing practices. I could just see, I imagine, AC, can you have like 5 hands up in the air? I always see you have questions. I just assume there's 5 coming. But you always, we always try to put a product out that we're proud of. And we always try to make them have value. Now, am I saying they're going to be cheap? No. But what I'm saying is compared to what the alternative is, they don't cost that much. I think the biggest thing the FDA could do over the next 3 years that would make me do flip-flops or leaping some jacks or whatever you want to do is if they made the insurance companies cover some of the cost of nutritional products. And that if people could start doing that, and we could prevent people from getting sick in the first place, our system would be a much healthier system. But until we get that done, we'll have to grin and bear it, continue it, get personal references. I was talking to Peggy Lapsley, who's one of our senior distributors, the other day on my Monday night call. And she has a new home, she has a new neighborhood, and a lady across the street sits on her front porch I think it's Thursday morning. And all the neighborhood ladies come over. And they were all kind of complaining about their knee surgery or their hip surgery or their knee surgery. And Peggy just looked at them and shook her head and laughed. And she goes, I'm older than all of you, and I don't have any of those problems. And they just turned around and said, well, what are you doing? And she explained what she was doing. And she has now signed up, I think she said, those women that are ordering the product on a monthly basis just because she looks great. She does. She's in her 80s. She looks great. And she never has any of those trouble surgeries that we all seem to have a challenge with. Still has 20/20 vision. She does better than me. And hasn't had cataracts or anything like that. And, they're all saying, well, if you could do it, I can do it. And they all are taking the 90 essential nutrients. So to say that it's impossible to grow your business, just the good old fashioned way to talk to the people in your neighborhood still works. Do I think the younger generation that's in their 20s and 30s, they're getting more and more involved because they want their parents to stick around more? I think to be a babysitting service, that's what Karen and I feel sometimes, even though we love our grandchildren. But, there's lots of opportunity. The younger group wants to do it faster and they want to do it on the internet. So be it. There's some that are very successful on it. But, if I can get in front of somebody and listen to them first, write down what they say. I guarantee somewhere in the conversation that goes longer than 10 minutes, something's going to be hurting or they can't afford something. And if I have those two lead-ins and I ask the question, well, what if I can help you with that? I stand a chance. Now, there's lots of books out there that say that multi-level marketing, that only 3 out of every 100 will be interested in doing the business with you. And that kind of reminds me of up in the Northwest and in New England, but up in the Northwest, we have oysters, and we call them bushels of oysters. The bushel is typically 100 oysters. And, you know, if I can get 3 pearls, I'll open every oyster. And so I'm willing to get 97 no's. But I found out in my 97 no's, I could typically get 40 people interested in buying the products, and they were customers. And so am I willing to accept those ratios? Sure. It's just getting out and talk. Now, Sean Brown created the 300 Club 4 years ago. Am I right? Does anyone know for sure? I haven't missed the 300, a monthly 300 qualification since day one. Just by talking to people. I don't shop on the internet. I just sit. I'm active within my community, and people ask me questions because I'm 70 and they say I don't look 70, and I haven't had any knee surgery, hip surgery. Because of baseball, eventually I'll probably have knee surgery, but I don't need it yet, so I'm not going to get it. So I just encourage all of you that A, you need the 90 essential nutrients to yourself, and you need to be selfish about it. And B, and this is probably the most important thing, if you have a friend and you don't share it, what type of a friend are you?
Good question.
You know, and I'll just challenge you to ask the questions. And I'm going to give this back to, I don't know who, because I don't know who's hosting right now, and we can answer questions, or they can throw questions at me.
All right, AJ. Go ahead. Oh, somebody spotlighted me for everybody. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. No. My computer's still messed up. AJ, take it away.
It's me pressing buttons too. I'm sorry. I try to get too slick here. Richard, fantastic. I loved hearing that origin story. That was something that we all needed to hear. It was great. And I know you got more of these stories up your sleeve somewhere, so we want to hear them all. But you know, I've recently had a lot of success with the Ultimate Classic liquid. People have told me that their kidney function went from, I don't even want to say the numbers because it's so outrageous how well this one guy told me he's done recently. Is there something better about the Ultimate Classics formula, and in particular the organs versus the Tangy Tangerine? I know you're biased, so I'm not looking for an honest answer.
Well, I can't be biased. I designed both of them.
So well, you like the older kids better, right? So
I've always liked Classic better. It's just, as with any other nutritional products designed to be a daily supplement, you have to take them daily. And so if I can't train you to take them daily, and powder I can, then I'm going to say powder. But liquid, because it's already dissolved, assists the digestive system to break down better so that you absorb it better. Here's the breakdown. Now I had a new one, and that kind of answers your question. So I just like the liquid nutrients better. I had one that someone told me that absolutely shocked me, and I'm going to do a little follow-up, and I don't know why. A lady was talking to another lady, and her child was 2 months old and had Down syndrome. And the baby went on plant-derived minerals. Now, you really can't reverse trisomy 21, which is the technical name for Down syndromes. But the effects on appearance and behavior, I guess, is a day and night difference over the first 6 months on the plant-derived minerals, to the point where the doctor is just totally baffled. Now, of course, we could never make that claim And I told her, you can't make that claim. If the mother wants to tell a story about her child, she can do that, but she's opening herself up to hassles. And I love her dearly, and I hope that the child gets better. I hope it has a quality of life that matches all the other children out in the world that I want to see have that same quality of life. But to hear stories like that, to hear stories about kidney function, to hear stories about losing memory or long-term memory challenges, hearing stories about kids having torn ACLs and being able to get back on the playing turf or field or court in months instead of a year makes me feel so much better as a human being. Do I like receiving my paycheck? Yes. But do I feel better hearing the stories? That's a true statement. If I didn't make money, I'd still make the product and making sure that I can get it in front of as many people as I can, just because it's my way of giving back to society. And I've been blessed in the years that I've been around and been able to do the things that I've been able to do. And so giving back to my community is extremely important to me. When Doc, to get the highest level at the beginning, Doc said you had to give back to your community. And to earn that highest level, and I want to say it was 5-star, I might be wrong, maybe it was 1-star back there because we were little. You actually had to write Doctor a letter explaining on what you were giving back to your community. And so my letter was I became a volunteer fireman and a volunteer EMT, because with it only took me 3 terms going to night school to get my EMT certificate because of my college certificate. And I was a volunteer. So I was able to go on the fire calls and go on the medical calls and help people. And I got a per diem of a whole $11 a call, but I got to do that. And I did that until rolling up hoses became more difficult to me. I got a hernia. We had to take care of that. And so I decided to let the young kids do it, that a 60-year-old individual didn't need to do that anymore. And so I haven't done that, but I'm now active in my Rotary Club. We gave $27,000 worth of college and trade school scholarships from fundraisers that we did last year. And we have our biggest fundraiser happening this coming weekend. I almost was late on your call because I was working on the project there. Don't tell Becca that, but I almost missed the call. But we're having what we call our Ducky Derby Festival, where we're going to dump 5,000 ducks into our river, and people buy the ducks, and with the funds, we're able to do a lot of these projects. And so I'm just active within my community. Does it also support my business? Yes. Does it make me feel good that I'm helping people? Yes. Do I encourage everyone on this call to find a way to help somebody? It can be one person. I'm famous for, in a grocery line, I see somebody that literally can't afford their groceries, I'll buy them. I don't care. It's not going to change my life, but it's going to make a difference in theirs. So why wouldn't I? So yeah, you wanted AJ, I know I took your question in a whole different direction, but I like the liquids better than the powders. The only exception to the rule is that the mineral caps versus the plant-derived minerals, there isn't a big difference there. And when you talk about shipping them across the oceans and things like that, there's a big difference there. And so that one I'll nudge towards the caps.
And do you do the Ultimate Classic straight or with water?
I mix mine with orange juice. People do it straight with water. Some people put it in smoothies.
All right. Well, I'm going to let Becca bring in the question from YouTube, and you're the man. Thank you.
All right. Richard, thank you so much for joining us. And, the fact that you were almost late, almost forgot. And then I was on it until it was time for you to come on. My computer system crashed. The other computer system wasn't turning it on. So I'm glad that I have backup and a backup to the backup. But, you had mentioned the Rotary Club and being part of that, giving away scholarships. And full disclosure, if it wasn't for my 4-H scholarship and my scholarship from the Rotary, I probably wouldn't have been able to go to college. So I greatly appreciate the Rotary and all of our civic organizations that are in the communities. Folks, get involved, give back.
there's actually a problem with the schools out in this area. Well, there's probably more than one problem. The communication, the kids don't understand money, and the communications between the schools and the parents to explain to the parents how their kids can get these scholarships and grants is weak. And there is years that go in, and I live in a 2-city community, it's called Camas Washougal, that there is a surplus of scholarships and that they don't get handed out because no one filled out an application for it. So if you have a child or a grandchild that's in that senior year or in that junior year in high school, start going to the school. They typically will have a counselor that specializes in the scholarship programs. Get with them and just say, how can my child get not one scholarship? How can my child get 5 scholarships to help us with this? Because that's the only way we're going to be able to do that. The other thing is that we're finding out more and more that, and then we'll get back to the questions. We're 9 minutes. That we need more trade people out there. And about 3 years ago, we started to do the trades. Now, we really don't call them trade scholarships because there usually isn't schools involved with the scholarships. But let's say a individual has been accepted into the training program to be an electrician. We'll give him money to buy his tools. Or if they're a carpenter, or if they're a cook and they want to go to culinary school. And so we're starting to do more and more trade schools out there because there's a need within the school to help the kids get into these schools. And there's a need in our society to have more people in the trades. And that's how we fill that. So keep that in mind as well. So even if your child maybe not be able to go to Stanford or Harvard or Yale or Columbia or one of those universities, or even their local community college, that they're looking more towards the trade route, contact your school because hopefully they're having a trade program to help them get into those as well.
All right. So see, folks, this is a holistic program. We talk about everything that's going to help make a better by the minute life. So I absolutely love that. And we do have several questions. But before we do that, folks, Richard Renton, lovingly known as Dr. Dirt, nutritional expert, longtime collaborator with Dr. Joel Wallach. He holds multiple advanced degrees and certificates in nutrition and related fields. He's a veteran of nutrition. He's a veteran nutritional biochemist and supplement formulator who bridges this academic expertise and real world applications. And you know, you go beyond just being single-minded. You've taken those blinders off. You've seen where there's need. And I love the fact that Dr. Wallach required those letters back then. It was before my time as to what you're doing to give back to the community. Because he is absolutely about helping others. And I just appreciate that so much. So let's go to Annie out on YouTube. She says, what's the difference between Ultimate Classic and the Ultimate Daily? Which Ultimate Classic is a liquid, Ultimate Daily are capsules or tablets. And then you got the Ultimate Daily Classic. But let's just go with Ultimate Classic and Ultimate Daily.
So the liquid Ultimate Classic has more of each nutrient in it, especially when I think you get to the calcium. Now, help me, 2,000 formulas. I don't have them all memorized anymore, but that's the key thing. The other thing is that the Classic has trace minerals in it, and the Daily does not. Then, if you want to go to my favorite tablet, it's actually the Beyond Tangy Tangerine tablet. Of the multivitamin tablets we have, that's my favorite. I think that going back to AJ talking about kidneys, they'll have more success with the Classic. I also love hawthorn berry, and that's in a lot of our cardio organ products because it helps clear out your arteries in it. But if I were to put my favorite tablet, it's going to be the Beyond Tangy Tangerine tablet. My favorite liquid is Ultimate Classic, and then one I didn't design, Ultra Body Toddy. And then the third one is another one I designed, which was called the Liquid Tangy Tangerine. So that being said, that's my thing. And I'll just encourage you to go to Youngevity.com, and in the search window up at the top, type in Tangy Tangerine, and it's going to bring up all the different ones. But click the liquid bottle, print out the supplement fact panel, do the same thing with Classic, and put them side by side. Now, Liquid Tangy Tangerine tastes a little better. Okay. But I would still take Classic over it. The other thing that was unique is that we did a study with University Clemson, and they took our powder and they took Classic and they exposed them to cancer cells. Classic had a better rate at killing the cancer cells. Now, we used to hand out a wonderful brochure on this, but our distributors, bless their heart, started to call Clemson instead of us to get more information. And Clemson actually asked us to stop promoting the study that they did because it was a graduate study, and we don't do it anymore. But I love Classic. So we got
Okay.
another question. I know we got Rod up there.
Yep, we've got another question. Let's go to Carmesita. Go ahead and unmute yourself, please, Carmen.
I have a question. I was wondering about I looked up Ultimate Classic, and I have Ultimate Classic and it's a liquid, and then there's Ultimate Daily Classic that are tablets. And I wanted to know if the Ultimate Classic tablets have the same as the Ultimate Classic. And if that Ultimate Classic, is that the one with the purple? Is that the one you drink?
Yes.
Okay, because I've been trying to find out.
See if I got a bottle sitting on my desk. I don't. Yeah, item number 13201.
Okay.
It's our first product in the United States. It's 32 ounces, and that's where 13201 comes from.
That's what I've been looking to find out which one was the original so I could taste it, but I didn't know anybody that knew what it was. So thank you very much.
Not a problem.
All right. Thank you so much, Carmen. Let's speak for the sake of time. Roll right over to Rod. Rod, what's your question today?
Good afternoon.
I didn't do that. Okay. Yes, we can hear you.
Hey, Richard, once again, I know you get all my.
Well, I can barely hear him. You may have to repeat it.
Barely, though, yeah.
Okay. Is this any better now? This better?
Little bit.
I'm so sorry. Oh.
Yeah.
Is that better? Is that better?
Speak loud.
Yeah,
are you getting away from the glucogel tablets, or going straight to collagen, or are you dealing with the liquid glucogel? Which is better for you?
So under different circumstances, I'll recommend different things. I always do good, better, best, for example, but I also do what will fit budgets a little bit better. Collagen is refined gelatin from multiple sources instead of just bovine. So I love collagen. Don't get me wrong on that. But the straight collagen doesn't have glucosamine in it. The collagen joints do, but it's a pretty hefty price point, but it's a great formula. People that are having problems in their neck and spine, I seem to have a better success rate with liquid glucogel, 116, because there's two liquid glucogels, 13216, and they seem to get better with challenges with their spinal column. And so I like that one best in that scenario. But most of the time I start people out on glucogel, and then I ask them on their sore joints on a scale of 1 to 10, what are you? And if they say 1, 2, 3, then I recommend 1, 2, 3 glucogels. If they say 7, 8, 9, I might get them up to 9 glucogels. If they start saying 10, 11, 12, then I usually go to the joint collagen or the liquid glucogel, depending on where the pain is. The other thing I also ask them is what their body weight is. You know, if you weigh 325 pounds and you have bad knees, there's another problem we have to address. We have to get your weight down. because the mechanics of your knees isn't designed to take that much weight. And so we need to work with that as well. Or if you were abusive like I was in college and played baseball as a catcher, you can imagine all that up and down. I don't have the best knees in the world. But I still chase my grandkids. One's 14 now, he can beat me.
Did that answer your question, Rod? Fantastic. Now, real quick, I know we're at the top of the hour. You've got to get going. Yvonne wants to know, when taking the Ultimate Classic, how much water or juice do you mix it with?
Formula-wise, it makes no difference. Palate-wise, it makes all the difference. If you need to mix it with 12 ounces of water and drink it slowly during the course of the day, that's fine. Other people mix it with just a little bit of water to thin it and they down it. So really that doesn't do it. If you're going to do the downing thing, take it with a meal. Don't take it on an empty stomach, because it might irritate your stomach. The other quick thing on Classic is that you may start your people on a tablespoon for this first couple of weeks so they get used to it, because there isn't many dietary supplements that are stronger than ours. I can't think of one at all, period. And so it might upset beginner's stomach, so you kind of have to ease them into it.
Okay. And Olga wants to know, if possible, could you talk about products containing iron or iron absorption and malabsorption? So maybe that could be a topic for next
month.
Yes.
Iron's a very, very hard ingredient to absorb. I can put a lot of iron in a product and it'll almost make no money on your test. I'll just lead out with that one.
Okay. Sounds good. Fantastic. Well, everybody, we are at the top of the hour. If I could please get our co-hosts up on the screen with us. I could not do this, especially when the computers aren't wanting to cooperate, without an amazing team. So I am so honored and blessed to be able to have them here with us. As we are most Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays now from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific, 1 to 2 Mountain, 2 to 3 Central, and 3 to 4 Eastern. And if you are down in South Africa time, that is 9 to 10. Is that right? Is that what that is right now? Yes, I got it right. Fantastic, folks. My name is Becca Dukes, and as a certified naturopathic practitioner and certified holistic health coach, you know, as Richard had said, even if he didn't make any money on this, helping people is worth so much. It has so much value in how you feel as a person, but most importantly, as we're helping ourselves, our families, and our communities, we're helping the world create a better health journey. Richard, thank you so very much for being here with us today, and for agreeing to be with us at least one day a month. So we greatly appreciate being able to offer your expertise and knowledge to help people understand the greatness that is put in and scientifically based, and not just throwing this and this together, but actually cofactors in their correct ratios so that they really do work within the body. Thank you, Richard, for all that you've done. Well, folks, I also want to thank my executive production manager, Ruth Ellen Sanchez, as she is taking over when I don't or can't get on, or I'm not here. So her and AJ both filling in over the last few weeks. Thank you to them, as I finally have my move behind me. I appreciate all that they do. And we have Marilyn, who is an amazing typist. And if you're here live with us and you've got that chat open, you are able to see what Marilyn does. Thank you so much, Marilyn, for doing that. And Albert, letting people in so that they can hear the program live here on Zoom, which you can access during the times I just said by going to zoom.dailywithdoc.com. So thank you, Albert, for letting people in. We've got Rod helping to bring in questions off of the different platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, so on and so forth. And thank you so much, Rod, for that. And Sherry, who's part of our tech crew, helping to get things set up, making sure everything is streaming correctly. Thank you, Sherry. And again, AJ, who is responsible, and it's all his fault that we are on so many different platforms so that we can meet people where they're at. Folks, thanks again for joining us here. If you want to see the replay, or if you missed the show and you want to see the last one, just go live.dailywithdoc.com and it will take you to the last aired programming. This program is sponsored by dailywithdoc.com. But if you are referred to somebody or to this program by somebody specific, get back with them. We are a resource for an amazing community of health coaches, health advocates, people that just care about people and want to help them find a better health journey. They are your person. So if you were referred or somebody recommended or suggested that you take a look at what we've got here and what we're sharing, get back with them, tell them thank you. And most of all, ask them how you can create a better health journey on the products that Dr. Wallach did all the research for, so much research for, and Richard Renton, who was right there beside him in formulating the products that saved my life. So folks, if you have not spoken with anybody, you're not working with anybody, you've never tried any of the products, and you would like to connect with a certified holistic health coach, I do have a call team at 855-949-3377. Again, 855-949-3377. Thank you for investing this time into you, your family, your community. If you'd like to be part of a community and have a heart for others and want to see them thrive, again, get back with the person that shared this program with you. If there's no one to thank, give us a call and we can share with you how you too could get a thank you check for creating healthier communities and together a healthier world. Bye for now. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.